Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Time to Heal podcast. I'm Dr. Rani Samuel. This is episode 30. It's our final episode in this current series, and I've called it the ripple effect. So we have made a journey of 30 episodes, and I'm glad that you had the occasion to join me on this journey. My hope is that you have gleaned a lot from the sessions, that you can reflect on the information and you can act on it, because what I've presented to you and what I've shared with you are timeless principles on the healing journey, both psychological principles and spiritual principles from a biblical perspective. You see, if you take the time to heal, you will cause a ripple effect in the life of everyone who's connected to you, closely or remotely. So, what is the ripple effect? Well, it's that proverbial stone cast across a pond in which concentric circles are made and the ripples continue, probably even at a micro level where we cannot see it. And that's very much what trauma does and what healing does. We all leave something of our lives here on earth. Sometimes we do it consciously and intentionally. At other times we don't. And this has been referred to as legacy. It's that which continues beyond yourself. So you could leave wisdom, knowledge, comfort, and healing consciously for the generations to come. As therapists, we are very, very aware of the impact of trauma and what it can cause in 3 to 4 generations down the line. But healing does the same thing. So if you heal and you do the hard work, your family would benefit, your children, spouses, partners, your friends, and people that you work with, not just for your lifetime, but beyond your particular lifetime. One of the greatest joys of my work is sometimes to come into contact with children or friends of my patients, and they would come and say to me, well, this is what we have seen, and how this person has changed, and our entire home is different because one person changed in that particular system. And that's the ripple effect you can have if you do the hard work. And that's the seed that you would plant. So a critical question I would ask you today is, how much of healing are you rippling across the generations? You know, in the Bible, it has been written that we will be known by our fruit. So that is the image of a fruit on the tree. And all of us, if we consider ourselves as trees, I mean, where is your tree planted? Is it planted near living water? Do the roots go down and draw from it? What is the quality of your tree? Because the quality of the tree will determine the quality of the fruit that it would produce. And let your life produce good healing fruit so that everyone can benefit. So as I said, this is the final episode in the current series, and do reflect, do listen. What you have now is a library of 30 episodes that you can visit, you can come back to. One of my patients recently remarked that if people simply go through this and reflect on everything there, that's like major internal work that can be done. Because what you have got in 30 episodes was taken me a lifetime to learn, and my patients have put in many years to get all of that in their own lives. So I hope that this would be a great resource to you. Many of you have been asking me about other resources. So I have written a few books which I would tell you about right now. And also, I developed an online course based on one of my books, so that those of you who want to have a healing journey can enroll for the course and do it. All of my books are available on Amazon worldwide, and if you look below this video, all the links are provided. So let me tell you about the first book. I'm going to, if you could see this, it's called Stepping Stones to Emotional Healing. And I would say that this is perhaps the most practical, structured book that I've ever written. So if you, as someone that likes a very structured step-by-step approach, this is the book for you. And it is where you can begin your healing journey. I wrote this book mainly when I had spent years in psychiatric hospitals, medical wards, cardiology. So a big portion of my day was spent with people in crisis and bringing them out of it. So I've called it Stepping Stones, based on stepping stones that you walk across maybe a marsh or a swamp with sometimes. And stepping stones is something you can go backwards and forwards. So it is not a 12-step program. It's not something that you've got to finish step 1 to go to step 2 and 3. No. Each of it is a principle. There's cases that I've discussed. There's reflection questions for your own journey. And I think that this would be, for me, it's a very, very practical book, and one that I really enjoyed writing. So what I did last year was turn this particular book into an online course, and I used the UDEMY platform. You'll find a link below if you want to take a look at, I think the first session or 2, you can go and have a listen. It's free. And I chose UDEMY because it's quite a stable, safe platform. It's an online teaching platform, and it's a very affordable method of learning. So I understand that many people can't see a psychologist or have exposure to the kind of insights I have because of the length of my journey in caring for people. So you would get it there, and I hope you would take a look if you wish to proceed deeper into a healing journey for yourself. I'm looking at how I can make this book available free on the course. So my team and I are busy looking at how we can do that. But right now, the book is available on Amazon. The next book I want to tell you about is this particular book. It's called A Time to Heal, a biblically based workbook for the healing of trauma. It is co-authored with my grace carrier, Dr. Sam Solon, and it is a guidebook. It is a roadmap for the healing of trauma from the womb until where you are today. And as I said, it is a biblically based workbook, but anyone can benefit from the insights because it has the psychological and it has the biblical component. So in writing this, we focused on bringing a complete picture to the reader and to those seeking healing, for those who have struggled for years and years. And it provides that door that you've been waiting for. What is also available with this book is the Spanish translation, which has been a joy to work with the team from Argentina. And they have done an excellent job in translating the book into Spanish. And we also have the audiobook available. I know some people would prefer to listen. Well, the audiobook is also available on Amazon and other platforms, and I hope you will take a look. The next book I want to tell you about, which is my first book, looks like this. And this is called Living Stones. So this book was born out of a newspaper column that I used to write more than 10 years ago. And it was on the back page of this newspaper that was a community newspaper that was enjoyed by thousands of people. And people would just really enjoy that column. And somebody once said to me, you know, I will pay money for your stories. And I was quite taken aback by that because I write for the love of it. I write because it's my joy and it's my calling to write. I never saw myself as even producing a book, but that became the first book, and it's real life stories. It's written as a devotional format, lots of reflection, lots of questions. It's much loved. I mean, people tell me 10 years later, they always come back to it. And my patients keep this book close. I remember once being in a hospital ward and, you know, I'd given this patient the book years ago and she had brought it to hospital. And I thought, okay, there's something very deep and meaningful. And I think the stories will definitely touch you. So take a look. It's also on Amazon. The book that I want to tell you about next is this particular book, if you would have a look at that. And it's my debut novel. The one thing as a writer, I can tell you, we all want to eventually write a novel. And this book is called In Search of Daniel. It's a book that discusses womb trauma, and it's a story of that healing that happens. It's a book that's quite a travelogue. It's if you like cinematic reading, if I could call it, because it's a very expansive story. It's rich narration. It's written in that sort of epic landscape way. Now, I had to get a published writer and mentor to help me through this process. Because when you're a psychologist, you can be too much in your clinical brain. And I remember her telling me, I need you to switch that off and welcome yourself into a new world of writing. Well, when I did, something very unexpected, expressive, and I think quite unusual and beautiful came out. So as I said, it is a story that touches trauma, and especially my area of interest, which is womb trauma, and how a young man identifies this and begins a journey of healing. I've called it In Search of Daniel because the name Daniel can be substituted with anybody's name. It can be substituted, could be in search of Nico, it could be in search of Alexia. It can change because we all in search of healing. So, as I said, it's a travel log, and what I've done is the story begins on the tip of Africa in Cape Town. The story moves to Rwanda and then to the ancient cities in Israel, more from a historical and beauty point of view. And I visited all these countries, so I've walked the streets in all these countries and engaged and enjoyed. And I try to bring that richness to the story. And many people have really enjoyed it. I find that an unusual group that really enjoys this book is in dealing with loss. If you have lost somebody and are struggling to come to terms with that, as much as it deals with trauma and womb trauma, but this book has at its heart a focus on body, soul, and spirit. So the spiritual world, the world of your soul, and how it impacts the body, and what all of this is, what that architecture of the human is, all of that is woven into the threads of the story. So take a look if that sort of thing is what you're interested in and drawn to. On my website, www.ranisamuel.co.za, there are 2 free downloads of some of my earlier writing. The one is a short story that I wrote called The Healing Emporium. Do look at it because it's a story that's a metaphor for healing, and it looks at all the things that are obstacles in your mind, the fears and anxieties, and how that can be overcome, to identify it and to overcome it. And it's all locked up in the story that I wrote. And the other one that is free on my website, so do go and download it, it's called Pebble Stones. And in therapy, patients always ask me unusual questions. So I've taken 20 of those questions and unpacked it with cases, with reflection, and it's all part of the healing process. You know, stories is powerful. It's what we will remember, that, you know, we all are stories, and we will remember the story, and out of the story is the principle. I was just looking at some of the questions, and one of it was, can a leopard change its spots? I mean, I get that often, but that is unpacked. And the other one is, what is that knot in my stomach? You know, we all talk about the knot in our stomach. Well, those are 2 questions. There's 20 questions that I unpack in Pebble Stones. All of that is free for you to enjoy. I just want to thank you again for joining me on this journey of 30 episodes. And I do wish you well on your own healing journey. Do take the next step. A world of healing and wholeness is available to you. So I would say goodbye and peace and abundant grace to you as you journey forward. Thank you always for listening.